Hello everybody, this is going to be our last lesson and today we're talking about mammals. Okay, so let's go ahead. So here we have gone through all the groups in vertebrates. We started with fish, then followed with amphibians, reptiles, birds, and today mammals. So remember I present this graph on the first introduction that we are going through evolution. So in the past unit you saw invertebrates, and then invertebrates they evolved to the first fish that appeared, agnata, with a kind of skeleton, then cartilaginous fishes, bony fish, amphibians when they start coming out of the water and start invading land, then reptiles where they have adaptations that that allow them to go into land, then birds, and finally we're finishing with mammals. So what are mammals? Here you have two kinds of them. One is swimming and the other is obliged to swim. Mammals are, just let me hide myself because I don't want to bother this. Mammals are the most complex vertebrates in existence and they are present in all environments. What are the main characteristics of mammals? They are endothermic, just like birds, but they have hair on their bodies. This is because they have to do anything to keep the heat inside, okay? Because they have to expend a lot of energy for keeping their body temperature. So hair on the body helps them protect them from the environment. Females have well-developed mammary glands, and this is the key difference for mammals, okay? Mammals come from mammary glands, okay? So whenever an animal gets its food from its mother through mammary glands, then we have a mammal. So they have lips for suckling. This is something which is unique for mammals, and in order to help them suck from the mammary glands, they need lips. Okay, and finally, another very key characteristic of mammals is that they have a highly developed nervous systems. Okay, so here you have a cat, which you see finds out where the thing is. They have 4 limbs, and the key point here is that the shape of those limbs depends on the type of locomotion they are using. So for instance, we have some mammals which are adapted for running. Here you have a cheetah, which is the fastest animal on earth by running. Then you have some mammals that have adapted limbs for swimming. In this case, they have evolved for flippers, in the case of dolphin. Then you have other mammals that are adapted to climbing trees and, or in this case, jumping between them. Okay? Or, this is the most extreme case of a mammal that has adapted its anatomy to flying. Okay? So, this is not a bird, this is a mammal. It doesn't have feathers. It's skin between their fingers, okay, that have formed the wings of a bat. Nutrition in mammals. So you have everything here. You have mammals which are carnivores, or just try to eat something like these lions here, that they are unable to attack this little hippo. You have herbivores, and you have omnivores, like us, because don't forget that humans are mammals, okay, and humans, most of them, they are omnivores, okay. And for eating these different kind of foods, we have a dentition, which varies depending on the type of food we eat. So carnivores, they have canine, very developed canine teeth, okay, that are developed to kill prey and tear apart meat, okay. And in the case of herbivores, like this horse here, they have very developed molars, okay, in order to munch the grass that they eat. Reproduction in mammals is similar to that of birds in that they reproduce sexually through internal fertilization. But in the case of mammals, they have the copulatory organs. Okay, that's not the case of birds. Most mammals are viviparous. Okay, that means that the young develop inside the mother, and you can see here this panda, which is giving birth to this little bear, or this fish here, which is giving birth also. Just take a look. It's just inside the water, it's coming out, and then just finally comes out, and here it is. Okay? But we have the particularity that some mammals, just 5 species, are oviparous. Okay? So they lay eggs, and these eggs, they incubate them for a couple of weeks, then they hatch, and this little, in this case, we are seeing an example of a platypus, okay, in this case, and the little platypus comes out of the egg, but is still a mammal, okay, because after this he's going to lick the milk of the platypus, which in this case doesn't have teeth, but have mammary glands, okay, we will talk about this later. So you see there are different types of mammals, You have placentals, such as the wolf or ourselves, humans. You have marsupials, like kangaroos or koalas. And you have monotremes, okay? Monotremes, that means that they have just one hole, okay? They have just one hole which acts as they excrete through this hole, and also they lay their eggs. Okay, so let's take a closer look to each of them. Monotremes, this is the most bizarre kind of mammal. They lay eggs with cells, okay, just like birds. But their mammary glands do not have teeth, and the young feed by licking the milk instead of suckling. Okay, so they are mammals because the young, they feed on milk from their mothers. Okay, but in this case, they come out of eggs. Okay, but they still lick the milk because they don't have teeth. Okay, so you have 5 species which are monotremes. One is the duck-billed platypus, okay, down here, or ornitorrinco, and then you have 4 species of echidna, of erithos, okay. Some of them, they are anteaters, okay, son come hormigas. Marsupials. Marsupials is also very interesting. They give birth to their young at a very early stage of development, okay, just 30 days after they get pregnant, they give birth to this little fetus, okay, which is not a fetus anymore. It comes out from the uterus of the mother, and then, which is down here, and then climbs all the way up through the fur. You see it here, it climbs just this newborn, which is maybe a couple of centimeters long, just climbs alone all the way up to the pouch and gets inside the pouch. And inside the pouch, it develops for the next, I don't know, yes, I know, 6 or 7 months, okay? Inside this pouch, the mother has teats, and this little thing just feeds on those teats of milk, and it grows for several months until it is old enough to come out of the pouch and live independently. Okay, so different species of marsupials. You have, for instance, koalas. You have, of course, kangaroos. And you have also Tasmanian devil. Okay? And finally, placentals. They are the majority of mammals, including humans. They give birth to live and develop young. Okay? So this is not like in the case of marsupials where you had a little thing without almost any shape. Okay? It's almost like a young fetus, just 1 month old. In this case, they are well developed, and in the case of this giraffe, this is just born, and you see, is already walking. This is really amazing. This is not the case of humans, but in this case, it is a very developed young. And for the placentals, the fetus is connected to the mother by an organ called the placenta. Okay, this placenta just transfers oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood to the infant's blood, okay, which is completely separated. It's a kind of membrane, okay, which takes the food and the oxygen from the mother's blood and passes to the infant's blood, which is completely independent. So the infant has its own DNA, has its own blood type, okay? The human being. This is the very special mammal. Which are the main characteristics of this mammal, which is included in the order of primates with some particular characteristic? Well, it has little hair on its body, it's bipedal, okay, in this case just walks on 2 legs, and as it doesn't use the hands for moving, it has very agile hands. Its offspring is born defenseless and needs to be looked after. Okay, it's not like the giraffe. In this case, you have to spend several years with the mother until you are independent enough. And finally, its brain is larger and more complex than that of other mammals. So we've come to the end. Okay, we have seen fish with bony and cartilaginous fish. We have seen amphibians, anurans and urodels. We have seen reptiles, chelonians, coccolgians, squamates, which are divided in saurians and ophidians. We have seen birds, carinates, which can fly, ratites cannot fly, and finally mammals, monotremes, which lay eggs, marsupials, which have their young, very, very young, and placentals, like us, like human beings. So this is everything. This is going to be the last video. It's been a pleasure for me to do this for you. I had a very good time with you, and just if you are interested, just keep coming back to these videos. I'm not going to move them, and just keep growing your understanding about the animal kingdom. Okay, goodbye everybody.